Not every car in America was built for glory. Some ran on a steamroller. Others were just floating down the street, leaking oil. There was the Edsel, a design mocked, the Corvette, a begging engine, and, of course, the Nash Airflight, an egg on wheels. Remember them all. If you're in the dark side of retro car history, sign up for the Forgotten Car program. Are you ready? Let's get started.
In 1958, Ford unveiled the Edsel Corsair, a car meant to redefine American luxury. But beneath the chrome and marketing hype lay a series of design missteps that doomed it from the start. The Teletouch transmission, mounted in the center of the steering wheel, was meant to be futuristic, but in reality, it was a mechanical nightmare. Drivers accidentally shifted gears while honking the horn, a safety risk no one expected. Then there was the styling. That vertical horse collar grille? Critics called it everything from an Oldsmobile sucking a lemon to a car only a Martian could love. It stood out, but not in a good way. And reliability? The Corsair was rushed into production, with assembly errors so bad that parts didn't fit right. Some models even had trunks that wouldn't open or doors that wouldn't close properly. Worse yet, it was launched in the middle of a recession, with a price higher than most Fords and quality lower than expected. The Edsel Corsair quickly became a symbol of corporate failure. It promised the future, but delivered confusion.
The 1957 Cadillac Eldorado Broom was the pinnacle of post-war American luxury, priced higher than a Rolls-Royce. But for all its elegance, this hand-built icon hid some major flaws. The biggest issue? Its air suspension system. Designed to provide a cloud-like ride, it constantly leaked or failed entirely. Owners often had their brand-new Cadillac squatting low in the driveway, embarrassing for a car that cost over $13,000 back then. Then there were the electric features. Memory seats, power trunk, and auto-dimming lights were impressive on paper, but notoriously unreliable. Many owners found themselves back at the dealership more often than behind the wheel. The stainless steel roof was flashy, yes, but prone to rattles and hard to repair if dented. And its suicide doors? Stylish, but they were heavy, misaligned easily, and sometimes refused to close properly. Cadillac spared no expense, but in doing so, overreached. The result? A beautiful machine that was a mechanic's headache.
In 1951, the Crosley Supersport tried to bring European flair to American streets. Small, affordable, and just sporty enough. But behind the charm lay problems most folks today have forgotten. The engine? A 44 cubic inch four-cylinder known as the Cobra, made of copper and brazed steel. Sounds futuristic? It was fragile. Overheating and cracking were common. Mechanics dreaded working on them. And the size? At just over 1,300 pounds, it was too light for American roads. In crosswinds or near trucks, it felt like driving a tin can in a hurricane. Safety? Let's just say seatbelts weren't even considered. Interior comforts were nearly non-existent. Vinyl seats, no insulation, and minimal weatherproofing. In the rain, many owners reported soaked floors and fogged windshields, not the ideal weekend cruiser. Even shifting gears was a chore. The 3-speed manual was clunky, with a vague feel and no synchro mesh in first gear. More than a few drivers ground their way through every stoplight. Crosley had heart, but in post-war America, it wasn't enough. The 1958 Plymouth Fury was a head-turner, all fins, flash, and forward motion. Immortalized later in Stephen King's Christine, it looked like the future. But for many owners, the reality was far less glamorous. Let's start with the torsion bar suspension. Plymouth called it Torsionaire. Sounds fancy, but it wore out quickly and led to unpredictable handling, especially on rough country roads. And those gorgeous tail fins, they were prone to rust, especially around the rear quarter panels.
poor undercoating meant even light snow could turn this beauty into a rust bucket within a few winters. Build quality was hit or miss. Many cars left the factory with misaligned doors, loose trim, or flaky paint. Assembly lines were rushed, and quality control took a back seat to styling. Under the hood, the dual 4-barrel V8 was powerful, but thirsty and prone to overheating. And the push-button TorqueFlite transmission? Innovative, yes, but when the button stuck or cables failed, drivers were stuck in neutral, literally. It looked like a dream, but for some, the 58 Fury was a nightmare in chrome.
The 1957 DeSoto Firesweep came out swinging. Bold fins, big chrome, and part of Chrysler's forward-look revolution. But behind that flashy facade were flaws few expected. First off, the Firesweep wasn't a true DeSoto under the skin. It was built on a Dodge chassis with Dodge front fenders and frame parts. Many buyers never knew. Parts didn't always match up, making repairs confusing and fit and finish uneven. Rust was a silent killer. Due to minimal corrosion protection, early models developed serious rust issues, especially in the floor pans, rocker panels, and lower doors, sometimes within just 2 or 3 years. The torsion bar suspension offered a smooth ride, but it was poorly supported by the underbody structure, which flexed too much, leading to squeaks, rattles, and cracked welds. Then came quality control. Rushed production meant inconsistent paint, sloppy wiring, and misaligned trim. Many owners spent more time fixing cosmetic issues than enjoying the drive. It looked futuristic, but beneath the sparkle, the 1957 Firesweep had some truly outdated problems.
The 1950 Nash Airflight stood out with its sleek, wind tunnel-tested design, a car that looked like it belonged on a runway more than a driveway. But its futuristic shape masked some very real problems. The biggest issue? Visibility. That wraparound windshield looked great, but distorted vision at the edges and created intense sun glare. Many drivers complained it was harder to judge corners and curves, especially for older eyes. Under the hood, the Airflight used an aging flathead 6-cylinder engine. It was underpowered and noisy, especially when climbing hills or on the highway. Acceleration? Let's just say it didn't live up to its aerodynamic looks. And that enclosed wheel design? Great for style, but terrible for turning radius. Parking in tight city spaces was a challenge, a real drawback for families in urban America. Inside, the bed convertible seats were clever, but the car's narrow width made sleeping to adults less than comfortable. And ventilation was poor. On hot days, drivers sweated through their wool suits with no escape. Stylish and bold, yes, but the Airflight often flew too close to the sun.
In 1955, Packard introduced the Clipper as a bold move to recapture market share. With new styling, a powerful V8, and a futuristic ride, it looked like Packard was back. But under the surface, the cracks were showing. The brand new 352 cubic inch V8 had teething issues. Poor oil circulation led to premature lifter wear, and many engines developed knocking sounds within the first 10,000 miles. Then there was the torsion-level suspension, smooth on paper, but a nightmare when it failed. The electric leveling motor was unreliable, and when it quit, the car could sag dangerously low on one end, leaving owners stranded. Rust protection was minimal. The lower body panels and trunk floor were especially vulnerable, and in snowy climates, Clipper owners saw corrosion after just a few winters. And fit and finish? Due to financial struggles, Packard outsourced bodies to other manufacturers. As a result, panel gaps were inconsistent, and paint quality varied widely, even on showroom models. The 1955 Clipper had style and ambition, but behind the wheel, it revealed just how much trouble Packard was really in.
When the 1961 Dodge Lancer hit the streets, it was Chrysler's answer to the compact car craze, sleek, affordable, and aimed squarely at the growing middle class. But behind its modern look were issues many have long forgotten.
For starters, the Lancer's 170 cubic inch slant 6 engine was innovative but underpowered in the heavier trim levels. Acceleration lagged, especially with the automatic transmission, which was clunky and prone to early wear. The styling? It borrowed heavily from the Valiant, but with odd proportions. That long, pointed front end and scalloped sides were to everyone's taste. Some buyers felt it looked awkward, even unfinished. Inside, the materials felt cheap. Hard plastics and thin upholstery wore out quickly, especially in Sunbelt states. Dash rattles and door squeaks were common complaints by the second year of ownership. And rust? The lower fenders and wheel wells weren't well protected. In northern states, corrosion set in faster than expected, hurting resale value almost immediately. The Lancer had good intentions, but in the shadow of its rivals, it just didn't quite hit the mark.